Good evening, Planning Commission. We'll call the Planning Commission of Grayson County to order at this time, and it is 6:04 p.m. Opening business is the approval of the agenda. Has everyone had an opportunity to look over it? Any amendments need to be made, or do we have a motion to accept?
I move we accept.
Have a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Now leads us into the approval of April 21st, 2026 meeting minutes. Did anyone have trouble looking everything up? Any issues with computers? Okay. Everyone had an opportunity to check out those meeting minutes from the last meeting. Any amendments need to be made, or do we have a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting minutes from April 21st are approved. Leads us into public comment. Do we have any, Mr. Ward?
One when I come in.
All right, no public comment today, so takes us right along into old business, subdivision ordinance update and rezone review. Review attorney comments on family divisions, right-of-way versus easements, and fee schedule. We'll turn it over to Ms. Black at this time.
All right, so I wanted to make sure that you all could read the attorney's email this time, so I just copied and pasted it into a Word doc and shared that with you. I hope all of you had a chance to read that. I did send this over to Mr. Funk earlier when I did receive it, but received no comments from him. So there was a question based off of the minutes from the last time we met. Mr. Funk had questioned, was all right-of-ways. Can't remember exactly how he worded that. Let me read. What is the difference between a right-of-way? Is it a public or intended for individual acceptance by VDOT and a private road for ingress and egress easement? So I questioned that back to the attorney, and he came back with a comment for the Planning Commission that says all modern VDOT roads are fee simple right-of-ways. There are many old VDOT roads predating the modern subdivision laws and or the Byrd Act of 1932 that are not prescriptive and dedicated easements, but VDOT will not accept roads on easements anymore and hasn't in decades. If a subdivision will include laying out a new addition to the secondary system of highways, which they often are, it's a fee simple right-of-way. If it is a private road, then it can be and usually is a private ingress and egress for easements. And so Mr. Funk's not here to entertain the questions that he always raises. I would question the Planning Commission. Is that clear as mud, or did that answer the question in fee simple that he had? I see, when we do the right-of-ways, especially for the zoning ordinance and for zoning applications, we always ensure that they either have a right-of-way, a deeded legal right-of-way, or a 30-foot of road frontage to be able to access a parcel. So as a zoning administrator, that is my job to ensure that these people have access. So it would be up to me when I start reviewing those plats to ensure that those right-of-ways are deeded. And usually we try to ensure that they actually have that deed language or a deed page number, book and page number on it that reflects what that would be, so that someone could reference that. I feel comfortable with the way it's wrote. Does anybody have questions on that? All right, and then in the family division, we batted that around quite a bit last time. And then I just posed the question back to him and asked him to actually formulate the language, but he didn't do that. He kind of left it back, put the ball back in our court. So in family divisions, he replied to our question about having that 2-year limitation that we had discussed previously, and then we had certain questions that how we would not to restrict people from being able to sell in the event of some kind of an emergency. So he came back with, it's important to realize that that with respect to the 2-year limitation, we're blending two provisions of the code, and it's not necessarily 100% clear. We're proceeding under the Virginia Code Section 15.2, 2244.1, which is a little bit different. As far as the practical administration goes, I think you definitely need to make sure that that's on the plat, in a plat note that shows that restriction. And that's fairly simple, adding the language to the ordinance that would show that in a family division that we have a plat note, that it's spelled out, so the surveyors will know exactly how to place that particular verbiage on the plat. As far as what needs to be in the ordinance, I think you need to make sure that you have the criteria to apply to determine changed circumstances. And a lot of these examples are the same ones that we talked about. For examples, they might be death or incapacity of guardianship of a family member, or they're being placed permanently in a nursing home. Since a family subdivision can be a way of sheltering assets in order to avoid Medicare asset restrictions, which I'm not sure we even thought about the Medicare issues. So thinking of that, we might have to include some of that language, but also he noted, I didn't want to be the one to have that burden upon me. It could be pretty cut and dry. It could be those three things, but anything greater than that, I feel like the board of supervisors would need to make that decision. So he also noted that you need to think about how to apply it. I think this might be one of those situations where you could kick it up from staff to the BOS, notwithstanding the language about the agent having to make decisions. So it could be as simple as, family death, nursing home, a few of those. Nursing home, death, and
How about incarceration?
it needs to be just a select few, and then any more than that, it would need to go up the chain of command to make those decisions. So
in other words, we could list what he suggests and then put any other excruciating circumstances may be reviewed by the board of supervisors.
Yeah.
Is that what you're hitting on?
basically, yeah, it just needs to be those very minor few select things. And then basically an appeal process, not really an appeal, but I would present it to the board of supervisors, and if they wanted to grant that, it would be on them, and it wouldn't be as a designated agent to make that decision.
Commission, what's your thoughts on that?
Sounds good to me.
So should I formulate the 2-year limitation and then migrate some of the exclusions that would classify the sale less than 2 years if you have a death,
Divorce.
an incapacity of guardianship. I mean, once we start naming some of this other stuff, you know, death and incapacity is pretty certain. I think anything else should have to be kicked up, but
Does he mean on their incapacity of a guardianship?
incapacity meaning like that person is maybe mentally incapacitated. Maybe they're mentally challenged, but they're still
Right.
part of a family group and they have a guardian. And that particular mentally challenged person can't have so much, they can't retain so much money.
Right. That's a little bit confusing to me in the way it's worded. Might be death or incapacity guardianship.
Of a family member.
Does that mean if the guardianship changes? Because sometimes that does happen.
Yeah, it can happen.
But that's not incapacity, that's just a change. If there is a guardian and he becomes incapacitated, that's what it means to me.
And it also could mean it's children, small children under the age of 18.
Right. So it's kind of vague right there. To prevent it, my personal opinion, to prevent it from being an issue, I think we need to know exactly the specifics on what he means in that aspect.
Okay.
What do you all think? Because that could mean so many different things.
True.
The Alzheimer's could be a number of things.
Yes.
Or is he making it vague enough for us to get it up to change?
And it could be that. Yeah.
That's what I would kind of read.
Well, it could be, but kind of puts a lot in our lap. What do we determine?
We don't, we wrote it up.
Running up the ladder.
Yep.
But now what we're seeking for in this is specific things that you can stand upon. Then any other excruciating circumstances may be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors
Yeah, for final
for
decision.
final decision. So if this is going to be one of those things that she stands on, we kind of need to know how to, my opinion, to define it. So it's not putting it all on staff to make the decision. And we have something concrete that she can say, does it meet these specifications? If not, then here's what we have to do.
Why don't we just say what we do with is death, death, divorce, and medical. And then everything else goes up
Up to
the ladder.
That's pretty broad.
Well, the incapacity could also mean, such as Dan mentioned earlier, it could fall under if someone gets incarcerated. Then,
Yeah.
I mean that's thinking of all those things. Then it kind of puts a lot on you.
Well,
We need to keep the list small
Mhm.
and then let the supervisors do their job.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that's obvious.
because the attorney's making it pretty vague right there.
They're
Right.
good at that.
Yeah. Is there a legal definition of what
Of incapacity.
incapacity
Well, that's
guardianship.
what I was wondering, if we
means.
needed to define what incapacity means, and so it could be 1, 2, and 3.
Right,
Anything more than that would have to go up the ladder.
but is
And
there a legal definition for that we need to find out?
Yeah, and that's what I'm
before we
gonna ask.
proceed?
What does incapacity mean in legal terms? Be more clear. Or was you intending for it to be vague?
Right,
And so the vague is what's kind of throwing us off, because it is at this point.
right. So, when you look at it that aspect, how do y'all feel about maybe asking the attorney, what's the legal definition of this incapacity with the quotation guardianship?
So we've established it's going to be death, incapacity, and divorce, right? Those three.
Medical.
Divorce and marriage.
Well, incapacity would even be, medical.
Medical,
Just like he states here, it could be someone, who's had to be permanently put in a nursing home because they're incapacitated,
But
unsound enough to,
The description says physical or mental inability to do something or to manage one's affairs.
I guess what I'm saying is, we've got the death and we've got the divorce. All we're looking for is a definition of incapacity. All, whatever that is, and the rest flow up the ladder.
Mhm.
right,
Right. Get
That's
that legal definition from the
Right.
attorney.
Yes.
That way, we know
I don't
the
think
verbiage on that.
I don't think
Lisa,
he's
can you
gonna-
read that again, incapacity?
Well, the simple description is physical or mental inability to do something or to manage one's affairs.
The legal definition is a person's lack of legal ability or mental capacity to perform a specific act, making binding decisions or make their own affairs. It often requires a medical evaluation and in the case of a daily life before court.
And the
Well, that's-
physician- the physician is the one that makes that
Exactly.
determination.
Exactly.
That'd be their guardian,
The guardian or the courts?
yeah.
The doctor makes the decision of whether the patient is,
Same.
Coherent.
clinical
Incapacitated.
capacity.
Right.
Whether they are not mentally or physical capacity, the physician is the one that makes that determination.
Right.
Does that mean a change in guardianship? I think that guardianship that he put in there kind of,
Well, guardianship is just gonna be
Throws
the
a-
person that's gonna be taking care of
Designated
that
to-
person that is responsible for
Right.
them.
So what, I guess, if he becomes incapacitated, right?
Most of the time, you ain't gonna run into that unless it's a young person that somebody's got a guardianship over.
right,
You know, that's the only time I would figure that,
All personal dementia.
well, I mean,
That's what I was thinking.
most of the time it's gonna be somebody younger that's got guardianship over an
Yeah.
older person, so the guardianship probably ain't gonna change too often.
Okay.
So I wouldn't think so.
Why are we trying to put divorce in it?
Well, it could fall to a different,
They're gonna sell it.
Oh,
Maybe we should let that go up the ladder too.
is on
I mean,
family.
that divorce is getting pretty, I think.
Divorce, I mean, it would end up going through a lawyer anyway.
It would be split
It's
off.
gonna be liquidated.
It's gonna be litigated.
Yeah.
some concessions
I still
will have
think
to be made.
Unless it's a rare case and they do actually get along and agree on it.
If they do that, they're gonna get divorced.
That's exactly right.
death or incapacity of a family member or them being permanently placed in a nursing home. And they would have to do that because if they are placed in a nursing home, they would have to sell because they can only retain so much money.
Unless it's out of their name for 7 years. I think it's
Right. And then we just need to define what incapacity is.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have him define incapacity. And then anything else goes up the ladder.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
We're good there then?
Yeah, we were clear on right of way versus easements, correct?
We are clear there.
Fee schedule.
Yeah, so the fee schedule is something that I bounced off of him, and then he said he's gotta go back to you guys. So I put together a PowerPoint, or not a PowerPoint, a PDF, a white sheet based off of the Excel spreadsheet that's inside of your board packet. So basically, it's a combination of the localities that are surrounding us, which would be Bland, Wyeth, Smith, Galax, Carroll. Was there 5? Okay. So the white sheet basically takes all of that Excel spreadsheet and tells you that Grayson County is really far behind compared to in their fee schedules.
Why don't we go with Smith?
Why what?
Why don't we just go with Smith?
With Smith County? And I'm sorry, I don't have that Excel spreadsheet in front of me. Can you pull that Excel spreadsheet up, Brian?
Of course.
What I have is just the white sheet that I put together.
Take a look at Smith.
So Smith County is very, very, very aggressive in their fees. And we're only looking at subdivision and zoning fees. The erosion and sediment control is the board of, would be the board of supervisors. But I was asked by the administration office to give a comparison because they felt like our fee schedules were off compared to some of the other localities. So I have included erosion sediment control in there because they asked for it. So yes, Smith County is very, very aggressive in their fees. And the reason that they asked me to do this is a lot of times in our special use permits, our rezones, and our variances in zoning, you have to remember that these are developers that are asking for this. This is not something that a county citizen should have to pay for. So if their intentions are to do this, the burden should not be for the county citizens out of my budget to pay for their development. Capiche? Would everybody agree on that? So they're very, very lax in this. Compared to some of the other surrounding counties. So our zoning permit is 15, based off of just a comparison overall. The general estimated cost would go from 15 to somewhere between $35 and $50. And you can go across the board and see what people charge. Of course, Wyeth County doesn't have anything because they don't have zoning. Carroll don't have anything because they don't have zoning. And then Bland don't. They have zoning, but they don't charge for a zoning permit.
Washington County is just 5.
And it's just 5. So who knows what Wyeth is going to do? Suggested fee was anywhere between $35 to $50. Recommendation was an increase. A zoning text amendment, which is, they would come to the planning commission and ask for a text revision inside of our zoning ordinance. I've never done that before, but if they ever did, it would be currently it's $55 plus a certified mail letter. And I'm really not crazy about the certified mail letters because we have to advertise for public hearings. So that's where I want to make that recommendation to the Planning Commission that if they wanted to make a text amendment for a rezone, a special use permit, or a text amendment, they should have to pay for the public hearing advertisement. And that's 2 consecutive advertisements, which normally runs typically $100 and some change. And then I have found a way to mitigate certified letters. I want to run it up the attorneys, up to the attorney just to confirm, but there's a section in the code that allows us to mail first class as long as we have it notarized, that I have done my due diligence. I have captured all of the, I've used the current mailing addresses from the commissioner's office based off our tax records. It's notarized. This is in the code language. I think it's 15.2-2309. And as long as it's filed in the records that the county has done their due diligence to notify. The only other way that you could typically do that is if you were going to do a variance, you might put a sign out on that particular lot that you're holding a variance on this. Otherwise, people will more than likely get the mail if it's first class mail versus having to sign for a certified. So I have found. I have a hard time getting those certified letters sometimes signed for because they're either not home or they won't go to the post office and sign for them. So if it goes first class, they're more than likely going to get it. Maybe.
With today's mail, who knows?
And that's the problem. Today's mail system is really iffy.
Slow.
Very slow. I was really worried. I know our Board of Zoning Appeals has 2 variances coming up on Thursday. Have you got a board packet?
I haven't seen it.
See, that's what worries me. I do know that my chairman got a board packet,
Packet in the mail?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
and it was mailed last week. So that worries me. But yes, we have a Board of Zoning Appeals coming up, and I mailed those packets out a week ago.
AC, VCO? Okay. Next Thursday.
I haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, you're not on the Board of Zoning Appeals though.
Oh, okay.
And so,
That's the reason.
yeah, that worries me because our mail system is slow these days. That's one reason I wanted to go to computers with our stuff because I know that it gets there. So I like the idea of making them pay for a fee plus a zoning, plus their advertisement. That means they're serious.
Right.
We're going to do it, and that has to be paid up front before we actually hear it. And most localities will actually they'll make them pay for the certified, or not the certified, but the public hearing.
But there's so many people nowadays that don't even read the newspaper.
I know.
It has gotten so small and there's really
Yeah.
nothing in it anymore.
That's true.
Most people don't even get it anymore.
So the mailing, does that come out of your budget?
Comes out of the county's budget.
County's budget?
Yeah, it comes out of the taxpayer dollars, and
So-
has for years. So I want to make that go away.
Needs to. Just a quick question.
Uh-huh.
How will this, the change in these fees, how will it affect just the local citizens if they want to change anything? They'll pay the higher fee?
Right.
So we're looking across the board. pretty
Right,
much.
across the board, yeah.
Not just
If-
the big investors.
Not, yeah, it would be, if, say, tomorrow or Thursday, we're doing a variance for, Baywood Market. They want to increase their sign height. They want to put a gas, sign in. And right now, because it's zone rural farm and not commercial, he can only go 10 feet. Well, the placement that they want to place it originally, VDOT has a right of way in the original place, 70 foot off center line. Well, if you come up 58 west, by the time that you've seen the sign at 10 foot,
You're back.
you would miss the entrance.
Right.
So we are pushing it further up the road at a 60-foot setback and at 23.8 in height, which is the same distance, is the same height as the one up the road Marathon. It's a hardship for this particular convenience store because it's zoned rural farm. In my mind, it's a no-brainer. But I can't allow that to happen because I don't have any kind of regulations inside the zoning ordinance that says a zoning administrator can make this
Right.
decision. So
This Thursday,
he would have to pay the application fee. And in this case, the only thing he had to pay for was just the application fee and the certifieds. And I think the fee was, I want to say it was a little over $100. But if you want to do it, you mean business, they would pay for the advertising plus the application fee
that's
and not come out of the actual budget.
this Thursday.
Yeah.
What time?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
So that's typically what other localities do. I have seen across the board. They'll pay a application fee, which is time, paper, all of the reporting that goes into it, the administrative costs basically, and the advertising. And then I have found a way to mitigate that certified letter, which right now, what our postage is 76 cents.
78.
78, is it going up again? I thought it was 76. A certified letter right now is about $10 and something, and some change. So, where are we at with all of that? I kind of got off into the weeds. Text amendment was $250 with advertising and certified mail cost. Suggested that it would be a rezone would be $250, advertising and mail cost. Special use permits $200 to $250, and some of these other localities are charging what, $500?
Yeah.
Special use permits are $500 in Smith County.
Yep.
Carroll County, sorry, they don't have that. Bland County, it's $100.
So you've got the range, 200 to 250.
Yeah, so somewhere in there between 200 and 250.
Okay, so you would settle on just $1 figure, not leave that range there.
We just, I'm
Right.
sorry,
The suggested fees that you
Yeah.
put.
anywhere. I'm not looking
You're
for
looking for a set
a
number.
set number. Yep. Not
Okay.
a range, not a scale. It needs to be a set number. A variance, right now, we currently are at $55 plus a certified mail. Based on the example that I have up there in the Excel, it was 150 to 200 would be what we would be looking at for an increase. A zoning appeal would be, right now we're at 100. It's 200 to 250. And then in regards to the subdivision, ours is currently $15 plus $2 per lot. Recommended was $75 plus $10 per lot. That would be for less than 5 lots. A major subdivision, of course, would be $250, and we have no identified we have no identified fee, it would still be $15 plus $2. So right now, the suggested fee would be anywhere between $250 plus $25 per lot. I know Carroll County, that's the one that Justin Funk was talking about. They now charge $100 per parcel for a subdivision review. And that's when they come into my office and you have to charge them for that. And I'll be honest with you, I've had heartburn over that. I typically feel like that is part of the job as a subdivision agent to review that. And I'll be honest with you, I've not been collecting that money, that $15 plus $2. Takes more time and effort on my part and slows down the process for recording. I can see that in regards to a subdivision, but not a standard boundary line adjustment or single division. I feel like there needs to be some segregation in the terms of subdivision. I think we could probably look at it as a single division, and a boundary line adjustment would be no fee, no charge. Anything more than that, we'd be looking at something like a minor or major subdivision. So yeah, we're behind the times.
Just out of curiosity, which fee type do you see the most of coming through your office? Would it be a special use permit?
No, I do zoning permits every day. So that would be what I see the most. I guess the second thing that I would see the most would be my subdivision reviews. I see those quite frequently. Probably just this week I signed off on 2. One boundary line adjustment and one single division.
Most of the time when you see a special use permit request, what's it typically concern?
Well, any kind of development. As of late, most of our special use permits have been cell towers. The last few have been cell towers. And then we will be hearing a rezone probably next month.
Commission, what's your thoughts?
Do we need to set up a definite fee?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for you guys to do. And I'm not, based off what, this doesn't have to be set in stone today, but it is something that we need to look at. Because we're gonna have to do some amendments to the zoning ordinance anyway, and the subdivision ordinance. We're not quite ready there, I don't believe. I know our agenda says consider the subdivision ordinance public hearing. And that's something that we can talk about in a minute, but it very well could be that you want to hear what the attorney has in reference to incapacity before we make a public hearing, before we have a public hearing. I know we've shored up right of way, but I still think we're held out on family division. But the fees are inside of the zoning ordinance instead of the subdivision ordinance. So making those fee changes to the subdivision ordinance, I don't think there's a fee schedule in the subdivision ordinance. It refers back to the zoning ordinance for the fee schedule.
May I ask where the numbers on the suggested fees came from?
It's a compiled number between there, and that's your median. So it's just between those numbers will give you the estimate.
Okay.
So the only one we're talking about is Washington County, Smith County.
Yeah, and
Smith
gay
has
lags.
none, Carroll has none, Land,
Well, they do
Yeah,
have
Land
some
has a
on
s-
certain things, but
Yeah.
Are we making a motion on that tonight?
We don't have to, no. It's just something we need to look at. It's a hard look at, because be honest with you, the last time that we done a fee schedule update was 2014.
how do I get that chart on my computer?
It's in that Excel. Is there an Excel format right there?
Right.
No, we're still in. We're in new business. Are we in old business?
on
We're in old business.
Oh, I saw it right there.
Did I jump too far?
Yeah,
There you go. There she is.
or why'd you click on to get that?
I'll have to go back. I'm about blind as a bat over here. Right here. See with that little green thing?
Oh, okay,
That's an Excel spreadsheet. It has an X in it,
okay,
and it's fee comparison zoning.
news to me, thanks.
You're welcome.
would this be something that we could, maybe discuss in more depth the next meeting?
Yeah, I want you to think
And,
about it and look at the Excel spreadsheet. I want you to really think hard about what we need to do as a commission to set these fees. Like I said, we've not had an increase since 2014, and the administration office wanted us to look at it and maybe give it some consideration.
Wow, Smith County is really high, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Or I don't know whether that's high or not, but it's big numbers.
I mean, compared for little Southwest Virginia, yes.
Yeah.
Because they actually model, well, if you get into Abington, you're over $1,000.
Right.
So, and they'll just continue to go up. As you get into Montgomery County and Blacksburg and Roanoke, you're really,
Big numbers.
they're big numbers, yeah.
Well, I think you ought to go to the range, the top of the range on all suggested. It's my thought.
What, the 250 number?
Yep, between 35 and 50, go to 50. 250 to actual.
Just for the advertising costs. And like I said, I'm not really pushing the whole certified mail thing, because to be honest with you, it takes time. And if you can do the certified mail, if you can do the regular mail, first class mail, and do the affidavit and have it notarized that I dropped these in the mailbox today, and you've got the list attached to that, and the Code of Virginia allows us to do that, that's time and administrative costs cut down tremendously.
But you need verification from the attorney before we know for sure.
I've done it with Linda on this variance, just because it says it in the, it just says all we needed was an affidavit.
But confirmation will hurt.
It would definitely not hurt.
So,
It would definitely not hurt, but I'm gonna run it up the ladder to the attorney and say, what does this affidavit look like to you? Does it meet 15.22309 of the code and allow us to be able to mitigate the cost of certifieds versus mailing first class? Because that also cuts into the budget, because you're mailing postage. So you could technically take postage, advertisement, and application fee.
That's what I think.
That what you think? I mean, if you're gonna do it as a, if Gary comes to me and says, I wanna put this cell tower on my piece of property and this is what I wanna do, they should have to foot the bill for the application, the advertisement, and the mail. And the burden should not fall back on the citizens of this county.
right.
That's why I say
You like that idea, huh?
Yeah, when it says actual,
Right, actual advertising cost and, I,
all that.
yeah, I'm not gonna, the certified mailing, you know, like I said, I'm gonna try to get that done under, and that will be less. I wanna do that under first class, and that will be less. But I will say this, because Linda asked me, if it's a controversial special use permit or a variance or something that's controversial, and I already know it, and you can tell what's gonna be and what isn't, I think they should go certified.
You think what?
They should go certified.
So,
That whole mailing goes certified.
If it's gonna be controversial.
Well, according to that, then, they would pick it up.
Yep.
And that would be your discretion, whether you feel like it's gonna be or not.
Yeah.
That's good with me,
So,
but I think it ought to be the top of the scale.
What is Galax's? $250? Yeah, see, theirs is $250. And we're only charging $55.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, these are still low.
oh yeah, they're lows compared to some of the other localities. Well, Smith County, just next door, really low compared.
well, they're exceptionally high.
They are exceptionally high. I really like their erosion sediment control. I want to make that proposal. I really like the way that they do their erosion sediment control. They make you put a, it's $25, no, that's, yeah, Smith County. They'll do $100 plus $25 per week until you get it grassed.
Yeah, I like that.
I really did like that. So, not know that I'm going that stringent, but I do think a bond would be.
And that's less than an acre is what we've got on here.
We do, less than an acre. It's $100 plus $15 per acre. That's all we ever do.
Do we
And-
have greater than an acre?
Greater than an acre is, that would be, $100 plus $15 per acre. And then that's it. Anything greater than an acre goes over to stormwater. Now, if it's the AILO is called an erosion sediment control. That's a residential single family dwelling. You sign an affidavit, and that affidavit, if you disturb over an acre, it's only $60. And then we have to pay for someone to go out and do inspections on it.
Right.
So,
That $25 a week could run into a lot of money if it was a dry time like it is
right now, yeah,
Was Grayson
And
Road.
that,
So
and
that-
that wouldn't be the homeowner's
it's fault.
fault.
Yeah, I know. And so I think that's, when you look at it like that, it's like, ouch, that's Smith County. And I'm like, wow, but a bond would help try to encourage getting that, grassed up. I honestly have a lot of issues here as of late with people not wanting to follow the regulations for erosion sediment control. They're not wanting to spend the money to get grass. So, and that's not what the law says, so.
Right.
But that's not for us to have to decide. That'll be for the Board of Supervisors to make that adjustment. But they're wanting me to look at that one pretty hard.
Right.
I like that.
Now, I think it would be good, maybe the others could be here the next meeting to have hard copies where we go through each one,
Sure.
look at each one, make a decision,
You want hard copies like that, or?
just print it off.
Print it
So-
off,
So
like-
everybody has it right here to look at. I think some people, I know myself, I would rather have it to where I could see it, and I think some of the others might too. You could at least see it, and then we could take zoning permit. Look at your recommendation, make a determination, then move on to the next one. Would you all be objected to that? That way maybe the other folks can be here the next meeting to do that.
Do it.
Good with me.
So,
Okay, so we want a hard copy of the fee schedule. Okay.
cause it's a little hard to see all that up
It
there.
is,
So it is,
It
so,
took me a little bit of time to get all that compared and together
right,
in a format that, that you can kind of see and understand.
right.
Uh,
Well, it's good.
I sent it over to admin. She's not, finance office hasn't said anything to me about it, so.
Right. It's just a little harder to match them up as we, but if we had them, we'd look at it. And maybe the others can be here, more folks be here, and final determination be made. We'll take it one at a time, make the determination, she can take the notes, and we can just decide and move on.
Okay.
Is the commission good with that? Is anybody opposed to it? That don't push it out too long for you, does it?
No, because we've got a lot of, we've got a lot of revisions to the zoning ordinance that needs to happen. Part of it has to do with the subdivision regulations coming over to the zoning ordinance. The second part of the zoning ordinance update is the battery and solar addition that I'm nowhere near ready for public hearing. And so I've got to still run that up the chain to the attorney. But tonight, we're just going to look at it as this is what has been passed. This is what needs to be done before July 1st. But we're not going to be there. And I'm not too worried about that. We'll be okay. But those three things need to happen. Subdivision regulations needs to come over. The battery banks and solar needs to change. And the fee schedule needs to change. And I only want to do it one time.
Right.
I don't want to have a public hearing 3 different times for 3 different things. So if we're not pressed very hard, and I don't think we are, I would wait and do it. Let's do it all at one time. That's my recommendation to the planning commission.
Is everybody good with that?
Good.
Okay. One thing I do want to get under wraps though is the subdivision ordinance. I want to hold a public hearing for that one. But I know that we're already a year, almost going on 2 years behind anyway. What's another 2 months? There's no reason to try to pressure to get it done. So we've got the fee schedule, and I'll just come back with hard copies for you all to take a look at, and then we'll finalize it next month.
You
Thank
mentioned,
you.
right, you mentioned the subdivision ordinance public hearing.
Yeah, I mean, now that we are still uncertain about the incapacity portion of it, in that language, the consideration for subdivision or public hearing, I guess we'll push that again.
Okay.
If that's okay with the planning commission.
Is that good with everyone?
All right.
Cresthaven Vet Services VDOT comments.
So at our last review, the rezoning application was presented to VDOT, but VDOT did not give us any information in regards to what that would look like. However, I received word back from Mark Williams, the resident engineer over at the Bristol District with a residency, and they had comments back and forth between each other. Mary Tomlinson and VDOT had some conversation back and forth, and the final determination from VDOT was that there would be no other investigation. VDOT reviewed what was presented to them and made this comment that their views of the additional use of the existing private road that no work is being proposed in that VDOT right-of-way and no improvements are proposed to the existing intersection of Route 623 and the private road. Therefore, VDOT will not require a land use permit in this instance. That would have been great, nice to have known a month or so ago, but I get that they have to do their due diligence. So with that being said, we are now ready to re-advertise for this rezone and public hearing. And so if that is okay with the commission, we've got word back from VDOT that they're not going to require anything. So this will go to public hearing if that's what the commission so chooses next month.
Sound good
That's
with
okay?
everyone?
All right, so I just wanted to give you an update on that. So
Okay.
next month we'll hold a public hearing for that rezone.
All right. Leads us right into new business, zoning ordinance and comp plan revisions. Discuss renewable energy updates, SB 443, SB 347, updates required for zoning ordinance and comp plan, and the Sands Anderson solar battery slides.
So those slides were presented to you. I actually have a 1 hour presentation, but I won't make you sit through that. What I will do is I will send that webinar to you, and you can log in, download it, log in, and go through that. But it will give you a debriefing of what the Virginia legislation has changed in regards to solar and battery storage in Virginia. They'll go through these slides, and then it may pose some questions, or you may have some questions, but basically I'll just give you a rundown of what changed. So Senate Bill 347 amended the provisions of the Code of Virginia related to the local review of solar energy projects under section 15.2, 2288.8, and the related sections. The legislation primarily clarifies local authority and limitations regarding regulation of solar facilities, requires reporting of special use permit decisions to the SCC, which is your State Corporation Commission. It establishes standards for documenting adverse decisions and findings of noncompliance. It reinforces that the local regulations must substantially be related to public health, safety, and welfare, and it limits arbitrary and exclusionary standards that effectively prohibit solar development. Senate Bill 443, which is known now as BESS, which stands for Battery Energy Storage Systems. And it's amended 15.2-23-1610 of the Code of Virginia. What it does is the legislation clarifies the localities may allow accessory battery storage associated with approved solar facilities, and requires compliance with applicable fire, building, and electrical codes. It emphasizes emergency response planning and public safety coordination. It supports administrative approval of accessory BESS installations where impacts remain substantially consistent with approved solar permits. It encourages reasonable regulation without creating duplicate. I'll get it out in a minute. Permitting barriers. Duplicate. So by right, basically, battery energy storage systems have to be allowed by right in all zone districts within the county. And so the reason that I said really and truly there's no pressure right now, even though this would not be approved by July 1 of this year, we could potentially, if something was to pop up, we could potentially make it so that we do it restrictive with covenants or with restrictions. And I had a conversation with Michael Zahner, and you'll see Michael in that particular Sands Anderson webinar. Michael was part of that webinar. And I reached out to Michael later and said, hey, we just shored up our solar stuff, and now we're back to square one. Is there any kind of regulations that you can share with us that maybe you've already worked on that we could probably model after? And so he provided to us that Charlotte County. And so it's in your board packet for you to review. And I've already went and added some of the battery stuff requirements from 15.2, 2288.6. I started adding it into our regulations. However, I know I'm nowhere near done, and it needs to be looked at, and I will most likely send this to Michael Zahner for his review and comments, what we need to add, what we can't add, what we can no longer keep in there. So some of that language that we had to add was there's a definition for an accessory battery energy storage system, which I added, a battery energy storage system, which is a BESS. I added those definitions in addition to there's a lot more to add, but this was off the top. The minimum setbacks for structures the minimum setback of structures and uses associated with facility, including fencing, PV panels, parking areas, and outdoor storage, but not including landscaping and berming. We had in there at one time, it was 150 feet to the property lines, adjacent property lines. Then we had public right-of-ways, and we also had feet from dwellings. New legislation requires us to go from 150 to 75 feet to a property line, from 150 feet to 100 feet to public right-of-ways, and we had 250 feet to a dwelling, and the new legislation requires it to be 200 feet. So additionally, our height for fences, we had 15 feet, not to exceed 15 feet. Now we're at 25 feet. And that was for our panels. They also have agrovoltaic definition in there now, which I want to talk to Michael Zahner about. The 25 feet refers to at full tilt. We had it at 15. So it can be as high as 25 feet for agrovoltaic purposes. The density requirement is going to have to change. I think the new legislation actually will trump some of what we have as 3% of a 5-mile radius. Pretty sure that's probably going to have to come out.
Why is all this why are they changing all this? Why are they making us change?
Because new legislation laws that went into effect, goes into effect July 1. So there's been somebody up there at the General Assembly wanting less stringent policies in place.
And the governor.
The governor signed it. We got to do it. I feel like I'm just running in circles, to be honest with you. Screening, there was you've got the House bill. You can go through it. In the italicized portion of the House bill, you'll see it, what it actually says. And it's in italicized, but the 15.2, 2288.8, now, of course, is by right. Each locality shall require special exception. And you can go through and read it word for word, but I just wanted you to know that a lot of the things that we had in place now has to change. And a lot of it that we actually had in there, when I read it, I think we're okay. Especially for the visual impacts, public parks, scenic rivers and byways. We've got verbiage in there that will cover that. Lighting, we've got lighting in ours. I think we'll be okay on the lighting. But Charlotte County has a good start. And if you'll start looking at Charlotte County, we'll be able to model some of the language after what they've already started, because that's what Michael's already started helping them with.
Where is that? Where is that?
Is it
The Charlotte
Best,
County,
correct?
it says BESS, BESS.
Oh, got it.
The other thing that I had to add was for the State Corporation Commission. It says the governing body, this is part E of 15.2, 2288.8. The governing body of such locality shall furnish the State Corporation Commission of record of special exception decisions reached pursuant to this section not more than 60 days after such decision is made. The attorneys were saying they'll have to create some type of form for us to have to use. Right now, we don't have any solar facilities that I know of coming down the pipe. So that's why I say we're okay if we don't get this adopted by July 1, even though they could potentially slide it in there. One thing that I was really concerned about, which if you go through that webinar, there's in the acts, the chapters, the acts of assembly, there's a hidden statement inside of there that says that if the acts shall apply to any ground-mounted solar facility with a generating capacity of 1 megawatt or more, for which the application for local approvals is filed on or after July 1, and any such project shall not be governed by local ordinances inconsistent with the act. Any application for solar energy facility that has not been received and accepted by relevant authority prior to July 1, 2026 shall be subject to the applicable local ordinances in place at the time of initial application was filed. There's a clause inside of the acts that if we didn't have this adopted before July 1, they could actually do all of this stuff up to July 1st, 2030.
This annual, county can't disapprove of solar installation.
Yep, and all battery storage facilities that they want to add can be added without a special use permit, which we don't have any yet. So when we do, but we still have the Berkeley group on standby for retainer to be able to do those 2232 reviews. The other thing that we needed to change was the decommissioning. Decommissioning now requires that it's done by which we originally had this in there and we removed it for some reason. I'm pretty sure that it's done by a certified professional engineer from the Commonwealth of Virginia every 5 years. So they added that language for decommissioning. And so I went in there and added that.
Every 5 years?
Every 5 years, they have to go back and look at their decommissioning bond,
Oh, okay.
and then they'll have to
Right.
revise it. The other thing that I think that I can recall off my head was they have to now follow the Department of Environmental Quality stormwater, which I liked. So there's a statement inside of our ordinance that we need to shore up, that it has to follow the current regulations for Department of Environmental Qualities. But I'm going to give this over to Michael and let him just start bleeding over it. And then we'll follow back up with it. But just know that all of the legislation that I've gave you in your board packet is required for the changes of our ordinance. So basically, the whole big picture is by right, battery storage systems are allowed, cannot be denied in any zone district.
So are they supposed to be put where the solar facility is, or are they supposed to be separate?
They can be either or.
What would be the advantage of them being off premises? I mean, it looks like to me to connect it would be, cost prohibitive
Right.
if it's off-site.
Right. I don't know, be honest with you. I know that there was talk about AP putting 2 in at White Top,
Do solar farms?
not solar farms, just battery bank storage systems that ties back into the grid.
Yeah.
It helps,
Yeah.
it apparently helps with them recover power outages more quickly.
Is that the ones where it's gonna cost $1 million?
Yeah.
Some,
So now they don't have to basically go through, I mean, we have to go through a special use permit, but they can't be denied unless it was just something.
They can put them wherever they want.
Well, on any zone district now, where we had it regulated to certain zone districts, they have to be rezoned. Now, they can be on any.
Yeah, put it anywhere they want.
Yep.
Come in your pasture.
I want a cell tower on my property.
So just know that I'll start working on trying to get all the language shored up and back to you for your consideration.
So,
After I've had a long, lengthy conversations with our attorneys and with our
so
Berkeley group.
are we gonna start chasing these, cloud facilities? Storage?
Chasing them,
Yeah, to get it in our zoning. We don't.
planning commission has the right to start looking at data center language if that's something that you want to look at. But right now, the board of supervisors has not given us any direction to start entertaining that idea.
So we don't need to do anything.
Currently not at this time.
So what happens if somebody comes and presents something?
Well, we'll tackle it when we get there.
Cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I asked admin that the other day, and
Wow.
I really wasn't given any guidance there.
If you had a small modular nuclear power
There you go.
center, you wouldn't need battery storage.
Hey, Lord. All right. Any questions, concerns, or anything on the renewable energy updates?
Wow.
All right. Leads us into staff updates.
I just left that on there thinking I might have something, but
I think you covered it.
I feel like I've covered everything. Just know that, we'll be doing a public hearing next month for the rezone for Cresthaven Vet Services. I will try to get you that fee schedule. I will have you an answer on the incapacity for family division. And I can't think of anything else that I know that might be coming down the pipe.
All righty. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
you'll break that.
Any opposed? We are now adjourned from the Grayson County Planning Commission meeting.